Hey everyone, welcome back. Let's jump right in. We're going to be talking about something that I know is on a lot of parents' minds.
Yeah.
You're busy, you're juggling all kinds of things, but you're always thinking like, is my kid getting everything they need from school?
Mm.
Like, are they truly thriving? Are they getting that personalized experience that, we expect from everything else in our lives these days, like our playlists, our news feeds, you name it, it's
Well,
customized. So it makes you wonder, right? Is private school the answer? Is that going to unlock my kid's full potential?
that's a big question a lot of families grapple with. I mean, we all want what's best for our kids.
Absolutely.
And the thought of an environment that really gets them, that caters to their individual needs and interests,
Mhm.
is really appealing.
It is. And when you hear about what private schools often highlight, smaller classes, those cutting edge programs, a real focus on college prep, and even this emphasis on values, it's hard not to be intrigued.
I agree.
So let's start unpacking this. Maybe begin with something that feels really fundamental: personalized attention.
That's a great place to start. I mean, just think about it. The size of a class, the ratio of teachers to students, it has a huge impact on how supported each child feels.
For sure. You always hear about those smaller class sizes in private schools.
You do.
And sometimes the numbers are pretty amazing. You might see like a 12-to-1 student-teacher ratio or even less. Now, compare that to a public school classroom where a teacher might have 25 or more students.
Yeah, it's a completely different ballgame.
It changes everything.
It does, and it's not just about the number. It's what that lower number allows. In a smaller group, a teacher can really observe each student,
Right?
pick up on those little cues. Who's getting it? Who's struggling? What makes them light up? You get a much deeper understanding of their learning styles.
It's like the difference between a broad overview and a really in-depth personal assessment.
Exactly.
We even heard from a teacher with years of experience who put it this way: with fewer students, they can really adjust their teaching methods, like having a whole toolkit of approaches to connect with each child in the way that works best for them.
I love that. When a teacher isn't overwhelmed by a huge class, they have the mental space to be more flexible, more responsive.
Right.
They can see when a student's getting lost or when they have that aha moment.
Yeah, it's about catching those moments early on, right?
Exactly. And that means support can be given right when it's needed, in the way that's most helpful.
It creates a nurturing environment where every student feels seen and has a real chance to shine.
Definitely.
Okay, so that individualized attention, the smaller classes, that's a big draw. But what about the actual content? What's being taught and how is it being taught in private schools?
Well, this is where the independence that private schools often have can lead to some really interesting differences. Unlike public schools, which typically have to follow state-mandated curricula, private schools have more freedom to create their own educational philosophies and programs.
So they have the flexibility to go beyond the traditional standardized approach.
Exactly.
What are some examples of that innovation that parents might actually see in action?
Well, for example, you'll often find private schools embracing things like project-based learning.
Hmm.
Imagine your child working with their classmates on a real-world problem, like designing a sustainable city or creating a marketing campaign for a local business.
Wow.
It teaches them critical thinking, problem-solving, and collaboration. And it's all very hands-on and engaging.
Oh, that's fantastic. Learning that actually feels relevant.
Exactly. And on top of that, many private schools offer specialized tracks in areas like tech, the arts, global studies. So if your child has a passion for something specific, they can really delve into it from an early age.
That's amazing. So it's about nurturing those individual interests and making learning something they love.
Absolutely. It's not a one-size-fits-all model.
Now, I've also heard a lot about Montessori schools. How do they fit into this picture of innovative education?
Montessori education is a great example of a child-centered approach.
Okay.
The focus is really on self-directed learning, where kids learn at their own pace using hands-on materials and activities.
Interesting.
The goal is to foster independence, concentration, and a natural curiosity from a very young age.
So it's another way that private schools cater to different learning styles and developmental needs.
Yes, exactly.
So it's about offering a range of educational philosophies and teaching methods that spark that inner motivation in students
Yes.
and equip them with skills like creativity and adaptability, which are so important for their future.
Absolutely. It's not just about memorizing facts, it's about preparing them for a world that's constantly changing.
Now, I know for many parents of K-12 kids, college is definitely on their minds,
Oh, for sure.
even if it seems far off. How do private schools approach college preparation? What do they do to help students succeed academically and get into those top colleges?
Well, that's a big one for a lot of
It
families.
is.
The college application process can feel so competitive,
Yeah.
and private schools often see themselves as partners in navigating that whole journey.
Okay.
And, the numbers show that much higher percentage of private high school students go on to college compared to public school students.
Wow, that's significant.
It is. It really reflects a strong college-going culture within those schools.
So how do they do it? What are some of the ways they cultivate that?
Well, there are a few key factors. Private schools often offer a more rigorous academic curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
They often have a wider range of AP and IB courses.
Right.
These programs challenge students, but they also help them develop those critical thinking and analytical skills that colleges really value.
So it's not just about getting into college, it's about setting them up for success once they're there.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And another important factor is the individualized guidance that students receive. Many private schools have dedicated college counselors who work closely with students and their families throughout the whole application process.
Wow.
From choosing the right colleges to crafting those essays, they provide personalized support.
That kind of one-on-one support can be so invaluable, especially during such a stressful process.
Absolutely.
So it sounds like that dedicated support, combined with the challenging academics, really prepares students both academically and emotionally for the college journey.
It does.
Now, we all know that education is about so much more than just academics.
Right.
As parents, we care deeply about the kind of people our children become. How do private schools address that? The values-based education, the character building.
You're absolutely right. In today's world, qualities like integrity, empathy, and responsibility are so crucial.
They are.
And many private schools put a strong emphasis on character development that goes beyond just academics. It's about intentionally cultivating those qualities.
So it's a more holistic approach, looking at the whole child, not just their intellectual development.
Exactly. You'll often see private schools incorporating community service into their programs,
Yeah.
giving students those opportunities to engage with their community and learn about giving back.
I love that.
And it's not just about organized activities.
Yeah.
Lessons on respect, honesty, and teamwork are woven into the fabric of the school.
Right.
They're part of the daily interactions and expectations. It creates this environment where those values are truly lived out.
They're not just abstract concepts, they're actively modeled and experienced.
Precisely. And it's important to understand that while some private schools may have a particular religious or philosophical foundation, the focus is often on guiding students to become thoughtful, ethical, and compassionate people.
People who are ready to navigate the complexities of life.
Exactly.
This whole conversation really makes you think about the state of education today.
It does.
As parents, we might wonder if the traditional public education system, while it serves so many, is always the ideal fit for every child.
That's a valid question to ask.
It is.
Public education is so important, but it does face certain challenges. Larger class sizes, as we talked about, can make personalized attention harder to come by.
Right.
The focus on standardized tests can sometimes lead to a narrowing of the curriculum. And a more uniform structure may not work for every student's learning style or pace.
So in that context, private schools offer a different path, one that emphasizes individualization and tailoring the learning experience.
Exactly. They focus on fostering individual growth,
Yeah.
nurturing those unique talents, and preparing students for all of life's challenges.
Not just standardized tests.
Right. It's about encouraging innovation and critical thinking in an environment that's designed to be more responsive to individual needs.
All of this sounds amazing, but let's be real, there are practical things to consider too.
Of course.
For parents seriously considering private school, what are some of those real-world factors they need to weigh?
Well, the benefits are there, but the decision does involve practical considerations. Cost is often a big one. Private school tuition can be a significant investment for families.
It can.
Location matters too, and of course the specific needs of your child, their learning style, any special interests or challenges they might have.
Yeah, a school with incredible resources an hour away might not be realistic.
Right.
And a school that can't support your child's unique learning differences wouldn't be the right fit no matter how prestigious it is.
You're absolutely right. But it's also important to remember that many private schools do offer financial assistance.
Okay.
Things like financial aid packages, scholarships, and sometimes even sliding scale tuition based on a family's income. So even if the initial price seems daunting, it's worth exploring those options.
That's such a crucial point. And it's also important to remember that there are many fantastic public schools out there.
There are.
At the end of the day, the best school is the one where your child feels supported, challenged, and can truly thrive, whether it's public or private.
Couldn't agree more. The best school isn't a universal concept.
Right.
It's the one that best matches your child's needs and learning style, your family's values, and your overall circumstances.
Absolutely. So, for those parents who are thinking, okay, private school might be the right next step for us, what are some concrete things they can do to start that process?
Well, the first step is research.
Okay.
Parents should really delve into the private schools in their area, look at their websites, their programs, their extracurriculars, their teaching philosophies.
So, really doing their homework, looking beyond just the label of private school.
Exactly. And then experiencing the schools firsthand is so important.
Okay.
Schedule campus visits, go to open houses, take a tour. That's where you get a sense of the atmosphere, observe classes, and talk to teachers and administrators.
You can learn so much just by being there, being present in that environment.
Absolutely. And talking to current students, parents, even alumni can be so helpful.
Oh, getting those insider perspectives.
Yes, they can give you valuable insights into the school's day-to-day life and its impact.
And finally, of course, you have to explore the financial aspects.
Yes, definitely.
Ask about scholarships, financial aid packages, payment plans. Understand the commitment and the resources that might be available to make it work.
Absolutely.
It's a multifaceted approach. Research, firsthand experience, connecting with the community, and a clear understanding of the practical considerations.
It is.
Well, this has been a really insightful deep dive into the potential benefits of private school education. We've talked about personalized learning, innovative programs, college prep, and values-based education.
It all comes back to that core idea of unlocking your child's unique potential through an educational approach that's designed for them.
Finding an environment where they can really flourish.
Exactly.
So, as you think about everything we've talked about today, what might a learning environment tailored to your child's journey look like? It's definitely a question worth exploring. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.